Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at the life of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam,
Mm-mm.
someone many remember as the missile man of India, but also, perhaps more warmly, as the people's president.
Exactly. And our goal here is to, well, really trace his journey
Mhm.
from, quite humble beginnings all the way to becoming this key figure, scientist,
So of a
leader.
real inspiration, right?
Absolutely a huge inspiration for so many.
And we're drawing on a detailed document that outlines his life story for this. So, okay, let's get into it. His full name, Avul Pakir Jainulabdin Abdul Kalam.
Quite a name.
It is. Born October 15th, 1931. And the place was Rameswaram, a small coastal town down in Tamil Nadu, India.
Right. And thinking about his childhood,
Yeah.
it's quite revealing.
Yeah.
His father, Jainulabdin, he owned a boat, was also the local imam.
Okay.
And his mother, Ashiyama, a housewife. The source notes they weren't wealthy, faced financial constraints, actually.
Mhm.
But the family environment seems to have strongly emphasized things like honesty, discipline, hard work.
Yeah, you get a real sense of those core values being instilled early on, despite the modest circumstances.
Definitely.
And even as a kid, apparently he was really curious, eager to learn. The document mentions him selling newspapers to help the family out.
While still studying hard.
Exactly. Which, really says something about his drive even back then.
It really does. It sort of highlights this dedication to learning that seems central to his whole story, even when things were tough financially. He went to Schwartz Higher Secondary School in Rameswaram.
Right, laying the foundation.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, he moved on to St. Joseph's College in Tiruchirappalli, graduated with a physics degree in '54.
But physics wasn't the end goal, was it? He had this dream of flying.
That's right. That dream pushed him towards aerospace engineering. So he enrolled at the Madras Institute of Technology, MIT.
Not the one in the U.S., the one in Chennai.
Correct. Madras Institute of Technology. And again, money was tight. But the document points out his, well, sheer brilliance.
Mm.
That, plus scholarships and his family chipping in, meant he could complete his engineering studies. It's another instance of that early resilience, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really sets the stage. So he graduates. He's got this aerospace engineering background. What's
Yeah.
the first step professionally?
Well, his first job, starting in 1958, was with the Aeronautical Development Establishment.
Which is part of DRDO.
Exactly. The Defense Research and Development Organization, India's main military R&D body.
Okay, so he's in the defense sector.
He is. But then, a really significant move happens in 1969. He shifts over to ISRO.
The Indian Space Research Organization.
Right. And there, he gets a massive responsibility. He's made project director for India's very first homegrown satellite launch vehicle, the SLV-3.
Homegrown meaning designed and built in India.
Precisely. Indigenous.
Yeah.
A huge step towards self-reliance in space tech for India.
And this is where, well, things really take off, literally, right?
You could say that. Because in 1980, under his leadership, the SLV-3 successfully puts the Rohini satellite into orbit.
Wow. That must have been just monumental.
Oh, it was huge. For India's space program, obviously, but also for Dr. Kalam personally. It cemented India's place in space exploration and really showcased his leadership, his technical skill.
You can see how that success would build confidence, provide a foundation.
Absolutely. And it leads us directly into why he became known as the Missile Man.
Right. That title didn't come out of nowhere. It reflects his work in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly. He was absolutely central to India's defense and space technology programs during that period. He was the driving force behind key missile projects. You mentioned Agni.
And Prithvi.
Yes, Agni and Prithvi. These were part of the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, the IGMDP.
Aimed at self-sufficiency in missiles.
That was the goal. And it involved a lot of collaboration, bringing DRDO and ISRO capabilities together, something he seemed very good at integrating different fields.
And we also have to mention his link to India's nuclear program.
Yes, that's crucial. His contributions to the Pokhran-2 nuclear tests in 1998 were very significant.
Which effectively established India as a nuclear power.
Correct. So when you look at the SLV's success, the leadership in the IGMDP, and the role in Pokhran-2, well, the Missile Man title makes perfect sense.
It really paints a picture of a scientist deeply involved in shaping India's strategic capabilities.
It does. And it's interesting to think about that intersection of science and national security.
Then comes another major shift. 2002, he's elected president of India.
The 11th president. And what's really striking is the support he got, not just political, but like genuine popular support, especially from young people.
Yeah, the People's President nickname. It seems like he really connected with ordinary citizens.
He absolutely did. His term, 2002 to 2007, was marked by that approachability. He apparently made a real point of interacting with students, encouraging them, dream big, work hard. That was his mantra.
And he had this big picture idea for the country too, didn't he? Vision 2020.
Yes. Vision 2020 was his roadmap, his dream for transforming India into a developed nation by that year.
Did he stop talking about that after his presidency?
Not at all. Even after leaving office, he kept traveling, kept speaking, especially to young audiences, pushing that vision for development, for science, for innovation.
It's quite a transition, isn't it, from leading missile programs to the highest office in the land?
It really is. But you can see how he brought that sort of scientific, problem-solving mindset to the presidency, too. Focus on progress, on finding solutions.
Beyond the science and politics, he was also a writer, a pretty prolific one.
Very much so. His books reached a huge audience.
Mm.
Wings of Fire, his autobiography, is probably the best known.
Right, I've heard of that one.
But also titles like Ignited Minds, India 2020, tying into his vision and my journey.
What were the main themes you see in his writing?
Well, a deep love for India, obviously, but also this powerful belief in education, in the potential of young people to lead the country forward. He used his writing to connect, to inspire.
And his work didn't go unrecognized, did it? He received some major awards.
Oh, absolutely. India's highest honors. The Padma Bhushan back in 1981, then the Padma Vibhushan in 1990. And finally, the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award, in 1997.
Wow. Before he even became president.
Yes. And that's not all. The source mentions over 40 honorary doctorates from universities worldwide.
40.
It just underlines the global respect he commanded, not just as a scientist, but as a figure representing sort of peace and humanity, too.
Yet, despite all this fame, all these achievements, the picture painted of his personal life is one of simplicity.
Remarkable simplicity and humility, yes. He was a vegetarian. He never married.
Really dedicated his life to his work and the nation, it seems.
Completely. The document also notes his spiritual side, reading both the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita regularly.
Interesting.
And those core values we talked about from his childhood, hard work, honesty, discipline, they weren't just things he talked about. They seemed to be principles he genuinely lived by.
That famous quote of his comes to mind, dream, dream, dream.
Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. Yes, that really sums up his philosophy, doesn't it?
It does. Which makes his passing perhaps even more poignant. He died while giving a lecture.
That's right. July 27th, 2015. He was at the Indian Institute of Management in Shillong, speaking to students, doing what he loved, basically.
And he collapsed.
Yes, suffered a cardiac arrest. Something quite profound about him passing away while actively inspiring young minds.
Absolutely. A life dedicated to that, right to the very end.
Indeed. He received full state honors and was buried back in his hometown, Rameswaram. There's a memorial there now, a place people visit for inspiration.
And his legacy, it definitely lives on. That vision for India, the focus on youth.
Very much so. And his birthday, October 15th, is celebrated as World Students' Day.
A fitting tribute.
It truly is. It speaks volumes about his impact on education and young people globally.
So, wrapping up this look at his life story, it's an incredible narrative, isn't it? From that small town overcoming obstacles.
It really is a powerful example. It shows how far determination, hard work, and crucially, education can take you.
It brings us back to his other famous quote you mentioned.
We have to dream before your dreams can come true.
Exactly.
So when we reflect on Dr. Kalam's life, what really stands out, I mean, there's the brilliant scientist, obviously, the one who boosted India's space and defense tech.
Mm-hmm. The missile man.
Right. But then there's the visionary leader, the president, with that Vision 2020.
And maybe underpinning it all, the people's president. That approachable, inspiring, deeply human figure.
Yeah, that connection he had, especially with students, it was unique. He managed to blend top-tier scientific achievement with real humility and this profound dedication to his country.
His journey really feels like a testament to the idea that, it doesn't matter where you start. With hard work and integrity, you can achieve amazing things.
And make a real difference.
Which kind of leads to a final thought, maybe for you listening. How can we take Dr. Kalam's principles, dreaming big, but also putting in the hard work and apply them in our own lives?
Yeah, how can our own aspirations maybe connect to something bigger, something beyond just ourselves? It's worth reflecting on his message, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels incredibly relevant today.